Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've done a video because I've not been very well, so I'm coming on today because I'm feeling a bit better. So I thought I'd do something else for Christmas. It's probably a bit late for some of you, but obviously can be used for Christmas next year. And I thought I'd do something a little bit different. It's something I did when I was at college, and other than doing flower, there are some flowers involved in it, but most of it you don't need anything special for this. You don't need any special cutters. I'll do the templates for the leaves. That's the only thing that you need a shape for, but the flower we're going to do is a pulled flower. So we're going to do chili peppers with some white flowers in with them. Normally the way they grow you don't get the flowers in with them, but I'm going to do it a Christmassy theme, so I'm going to keep the chili peppers red and the flowers white. I'll take you down to my board. Right, so I've got 3 lots of paste here, some red paste, some green paste and some white paste. Now the red paste, I've used the Sugar Flare Extra Red Extra. Don't try and use an ordinary red because the ordinary reds won't turn it red like this. You need an extra strength colour in order to be able to do that. So I'm going to start off with the flower to start off with. So I'm going to start off with the white paste. So get that in half. So your paste needs to be probably around about the size of a bit larger than a pea. I'm trying to think of something that I can compare it with so you can guess it. But if you've downloaded the size guide off of my website, if I can find mine, wherever I've put it. I don't use it that often. Oh, there it is. I don't use it that often when I'm doing things, but for your sake I'll do this. So it's probably a little bit smaller than an 8 and a bit bigger than a 7. So it's sort of in between. So roll that into a cone. And then you need your cell stick to go into the centre of it. If you haven't got a cell stick, probably something, if you can find something like a lollipop stick and put a sharp end on it or something like that so you can get into your paste, and then just push it against your fingers. Oops, this paste is a little bit sticky, so it's sticking to my fingers because I haven't used it for a while. Sometimes it goes a bit soft when you've left it for a while. Right, so you've opened it up like that. Then you need a pair of sharp small scissors like this, and we're going to cut it into, I'm going to cut it into 6. There are, on a lot of them, they do vary quite a lot of peppers actually. There's a lot of different kinds, but they generally have 5 petals, but it's harder to do 5 petals this way than it is 6 petals. So what I've done is I've cut one side, then cut the other side, and then on each of these sides go into it twice. Try and get them as even as you can. Right, so I'm just going to pop that down for a minute because I didn't do my stamens, and the stamens are very fine in the centre of this particular flower. And I've just seen my stamens somewhere. Where did I see them? I thought I'd got everything out and I've missed the stamens, and I know I've put something on top of them because I saw them a short while ago. So they'll be here hiding underneath something. Oh, no, those are a bit big. Those will do actually. These are very fine pointed ones, but the ones that I've actually used in the flowers are the micro stamens, as small as possibly you can get. So what I've done is I've taken 3 stamens, folded them in half, like that. Then you want some green tape. I'm using the darker green for this because the stems are quite dark green anyway, and when we put it all together it will fit in. So you can either start this off on a wire or on your stamens, whichever way you find it easier to start. So get your tape round your stamens like that, roll it on, pinch it in, and then if you get your wire, that's that one, this one, I've got a 26 gauge wire here. I've cut it into 4. You don't need long wires for these. And then start taping down your stem right the way to the bottom, like that. Then you can just open them out a little bit. They don't spread out a lot. They are fairly close in the centre of these. Now we want some brown pollen. So I've got some brown pollen here that I've made up. For anybody that's watching for the first time, I know that you people that watch regular already know this, and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but I have to cover all bases. It's basically is either semolina or ground rice mixed with a dry powder colour. So you can get whatever you can. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying it ready-made in the shops. Don't buy it ready-made in the shops. And I'm talking people out of business, but I don't have a shop anymore, so it doesn't matter. When I used to do demonstrations at the Sugarcraft Guild, people that were in the business used to get a bit upset because they bought a lot of stock in and I'm showing people how to make it without having to buy it. So yeah, it was when I was making stamens, I think it was, somebody made a comment about that. She just bought a load of stamens in, but there we are. That's the way of the world. Right, now then, back to my flower. So I'm going to get my small ball tool. Oh, it's there. Here we are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll in with the large end of the small ball tool into the centre. Get it on your finger and roll it in. Like that. To thin your petals out and bring it out a bit that way as well. Stretch it slightly. So again, roll it down your petal and then out and stretch it. These are going to be stretched a little bit more because I'm going to use the, oh, I've lost a petal there. This paste is very, very sticky, so I don't need any glue on this. I can stick it back on. This is why I don't block out when anything goes wrong. I show people how to fix it. There we are, back again. This is why I like working with this flexible paste, because it's so much easier to work with. Just be careful how you pull it off your finger. If it's stuck to your finger like mine did, that's what caused it to do that. That one's just split a little bit there, so we'll just go in and that's it. Have I gone off camera there? I'll bring this back up again so you can see what I'm doing. So basically that one there has got a little crack in it, so what I've done is, if you just lift it off, bring your petal back together again there, and then just go over it again. I've got a hard lump of flour, something in it, that's why that's done that. So it's in, and then roll it out to stretch it a little bit. I missed one of the petals there rolling out, and just go back to that one. There we are. That's it. So that's all my petals. Don't worry about if they're uneven at this point, because they will come together. Then get your silk veining tool and then just roll out. So that takes the thickness off on the sides, just in case you were thinking I was going to leave that. That's why I've left that. So into the centre and roll it backwards and forwards like that. Try not to get your petals stuck together. Those have. As I say, it's very soft as this paste, so it's a little bit difficult to handle. One of the petals has got stuck down on my back. There, that's it. Got it. Right, back onto there. And again, roll out and roll out to widen your petals. Nothing's perfect in nature, so don't worry about things not being exactly the same size. If you actually get hold of a flower, they're not all perfect. Nature does what nature does, and that's it. Right, so once we've got to that stage, I'm going to go back into the centre now to open that out a little bit, like that. Bring the petals up a little bit. Just twist that out. And then I'm going to put my stamens into it. Chance, give over. He's heard something and he's barking at it. Then roll the back of your flower to get your long back on it. Then what we're going to do then is get hold of the petals and then bring them together like that into a point. I think we've got a little bit of a, hang on, just get my scissors back in there. Chance, give over. He doesn't do as he's told, I'm afraid. Just cut that back into there and then just bring that up like that. And just bring that up like that. I've just squashed the back a little bit, so just go back in and then you can get it upside down and then just bring your petals down like that. So you get your flower shape, and then what you need to do then is to put it into some dry foam, and what I do is I put it in an angle like that upside down. Oops. These thinner wires are a bit more difficult to get into your foam like that, and then put it somewhere to dry so it's not touching anything. And then what you will end up with then is a flower like this. These are the ones that are already dry. Right, so the next part then is to make the peppers themselves. Dead easy, because all it is a long cone. But they don't grow straight, so remember that when you're doing them. With a lot of them, I've got a bit of a curve on the end, if you can see that. They're not smooth all over. Sometimes you get sort of like crinkles in them and what. So don't worry about that. That's all part of the making that sort of thing. Now I want a 20 gauge wire. If I've got one knocking about. Yes, there's one there. That'll do. It's a bit long is this one, don't need it that long, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to make a smallish one, do different sizes in them, so they don't all look the same. Now normally if you were doing anything like this, you'd do some green ones, some yellow ones, some orange, because they change colour from green through to yellow, through to orange, then to red. If you wanted to mix them up, that's fine. I've done them all red because I'm doing it specifically for you to put on a Christmas cake. So once you've got your ball, I will put your wire into it before you go any further. If that wants to go down the centre like that, with your hook on the end so that it hooks into the paste. There we are. And then what you're going to do then is you're going to start rolling it like this. So you want to get it into a long cone. It doesn't want to be pointed, but it wants to be near enough. You're not aiming for a sharp point, you're aiming for this sort of shape where it's sort of slightly bulbous at the bottom. So when you're rolling, if you start at the base of it and then roll down like that, So it's a bit rounded on the end like that, and then you can just give it a bit of a curve or whatever you want, as long as they're slightly misshapen. And what you can do then is, if you get it onto your foam pad, like I've done, you push it down into a cup like that, and then just leave it to dry. Now there is another point. I was going to do it on a pepper that I've already dried. Yes, I have got one. That's all right. I was just going to say that there is a bit of a calyx on the base of your peppers, so I'm using this green paste here. This is the same green that I use for the leaves as well as the calyx. So I'll start off by doing the calyx first. Now then, if you haven't got a small calyx like that, you can make the calyx the same way as you do the flowers, if you haven't got a calyx. But I've got a calyx. I'm going to show you the Mexican hat process. I couldn't find my cell board with the bins in it. I usually use that for this sort of thing, but I'm putting slightly more of a back on these calyx anyway, so I'm going to do it by hand. So start off with your ball of paste, slim it down on one end, leaving the bulbous part there, unlike when you did the chili peppers. And then if you get it with the point upwards, and then between your finger and your thumb, go around it and thin the base of it out, leaving the spike upwards. Put that down on your board. Now for this you need a very small cell stick, which I have got here somewhere. So I've just had it. I know I've got another one in there somewhere. Yeah, there. Oops. Now if you haven't got a cell stick, you can use a cocktail stick. And then start rolling out from the bottom. Get it right in underneath there. This is why you need a small rolling pin, because if it was bigger, you won't be able to get right into the base like that. So that's why we need all these different size pins. Unfortunately, Cellcrafts that used to make these are no longer in business, but I'm sure there are other people out there that make these tiny rolling pins. Just go around and just make sure you get it nice and thin at the base there. Then check your cutter over it to make sure that that fits like that. Press down, and that's actually come out with the thing. So I'm just going to push those out with the pointed end of my, there we are, pointing end of my cell stick. Then what you do is get it between your finger and your thumb, get your small ball tool with the small end, and then from the point inwards roll it in. That sort of cups it and thins it at the same time. It's so small I'm not going to go around and thin the edges because you can't see that anyway. If it was for a competition, I probably would do, but it's not. And most people wouldn't know the difference. And then you can get your larger cell stick and then go into the centre of that, just to open that out and bring your points up. Go in with a little bit of glue, just enough for it to stick, and then you get your dried chili pepper, which I have one somewhere. There it is in my foam. There we are. And then twist your wire down into it. Now for some reason most of my chili peppers have gone wonky at the bottom. They're all off one side on the wire. So if you just get your calyx underneath it and find out which part fits where, like that is, then just bring your calyx up over it and then thin the back of your chili. You might have to push that back up again a bit. So there's your calyx on your chili. The next thing to make is the leaves. Now I know you've seen me make loads of leaves before in other videos for those that watch me regularly, but I'm just going to do one of each size just to show you how I made the leaves. You can make as many as you want, and basically if you've got the cutters I'm using are what we call simple leaf cutters, and these are used for quite a lot of different flowers, so they're very useful cutters to have. So if you haven't got them and you are wanting to do a lot of flowers, it's worth investing in those. So I'll just give the paste a bit of a knead. Then we'll put a bit of white fat on my board. You don't need a lot, just a tiny bit, don't put loads on. It's just enough to make the paste stay on your board when you're rolling it out. And before I get all the length, I always roll it both ways so it's a bit thicker on that end, and then when you roll it out, it comes out more of a rectangular shape. And it's never even, but it does give you that bit of width ready so you can do more than one line, because with my trusty little grooved rolling pin that I use, this one, you've got plenty of room if you're doing more than one groove in it, which I'm only doing one because I'm cutting out 3 leaves with this. So I'm just going to cut out one of each size. Make sure you get your leaf centered so your point's on the ridge and your base of your middle of your leaf is on the ridge. Cut them out. There we are. And then if you just get your paste and then if you just pull it away like that, it should come away from your cutters like that. It doesn't always work like that every time I do it, but just for those that find they have difficulty with it. It's always a good idea to have a small palette knife like this. I mean, for those of you in the UK, if you go to the range section, they generally have sets of these that are very reasonable, so that's a good place to get it. Or your sugar craft shop if you haven't got a range near you, whichever's better for you. Right, now I've got some 28 gauge wires here that I'm going to put my leaves on. So again, between your finger and your thumb, twist your wire into the base and then feel it go up the paste. And go up as far as you can, just in case you have a breakage. I've left about that much there on that one. Then it's easier to repair things if your wire is far enough up, and it makes your leaves strong, especially with this paste, because it's soft. It's never going to go hard, unlike normal flower paste, so it just gives you a bit more strength there. Also, if you want to put the bend in a leaf as well, it's a good idea to have the wire up it as well, because you're bending the wire as well as the paste, and then that keeps it in shape. So that's another good reason there. So that's those into there. And I'll get my part here. And then I find with this soft paste it's easier to roll around the edges. Right everybody, I had a bit of a blip there as I started doing this leaf. Unfortunately my memory ran out on my card, so I had to go down and clear all the videos on from previously. So as I go on, I'll finishing the edge of my leaves. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, because when you put your leaves into your veiner, it does thin the paste out there anyway. Sometimes you can't tell. It depends on what it is you're doing. I mean, if you're doing a competition, then you have to, because they look at every little aspect, and I'm sure they get a magnifying glass on things, because you've probably heard me say this before, because they pick up on the slightest little things. For anybody in the UK that's ever entered at the Sugarcraft show at the NEC, you'll know what I mean, because I've entered there, and you'd be surprised at what they can fail you on or disqualify you or whatever. Right, now, vena-wise, I'm using hydrangea vena. Whatever leaf vena you've got, if it's a heavier vena, then it's a bit better, so you can see. But obviously, for doing it on camera, a heavier vena is better. But if you haven't got that and you've got a rose leaf vena, use that. So give it a good press. Make sure you get it central. Then shape your leaf. And then your leaf wants to go. Let's just move these off of here that I've already done. Oops. Then that goes into your foam like that. Give it a bit of shape. It doesn't matter if it drops back a bit. They are a bit sort of, some of the leaves on peppers are quite squished up. They're quite, you know, if you have a look at them, they're not straight. Definitely not straight. But it takes a lot of time to do them exactly as they are on the plant. So again, give it a bit of shape and then put it into your foam. And do that with each of these. Make sure that you turn it over and put your ridge into your groove on your vena, because that's the back of your leaf. Oh, gone a bit offside there, it slipped. Just put it back into your vena and give it another press. That's better. And into your foam. So those are going to go and dry. I've already got all mine done. I think I've left one to colour, or have I? No, I haven't. I can use one of those anyway. Right, so that's the leaves done. That's your peppers done, and that's your flowers done. So I'm just going to get rid of my paste now. I think I put the other paste away. So the next step now is with your peppers. Preferably you can do this before you put your calyx on. But where's that one that I've just made? Where's it gone? That one. This is still wet, so what I do is I varnish them because peppers are very shiny. So you can do it at this stage, you can do it later if you want, but because this is a demonstration, I'm going to do it with one that hasn't dried yet. So don't forget, always keep a brush just for your varnish. That's the wrong one. That's the one. Just to soften that up a little bit because I've already used it once today. Into my varnish. And then just give your pepper a varnish all over. Like that. So, like I say, if you do it at that stage before you put your calyx on, then you're not getting the varnish all over your calyx. So just stand that up in there, that's it. Get my lid on, nice and tight, put that away, and don't forget to clean your brush. Oops. And I've got a clean lot of varnish out here for cleaning my brushes in now, which I didn't have before. It was getting a bit murky, to say the least. Then a good idea is if you get a piece of kitchen roll and just run it through just to dry it off a little bit. That'll evaporate. Much better doing it with the glaze cleaner than it is with soap and water. Get rid of those out of the way. Right, now we'll get on to the interesting part, colouring. I'm using two colours here. For the flowers, I'm going to dust these with some icy white. Although they're not particularly shiny, it is a Christmas cake, so I want them to stand out. Basically, what it does, it gives them sort of like a silky look. And some people might say, well, why brush a white flower with white powder? Well, there is a good reason. If you're using these sort of powders, It makes your white stand out better and gives it that sort of a waxy look, is the best way of putting it. Now then, I've got one somewhere that I haven't dusted yet. Where is it? That's it. Here we are. So, dust on your brush and then just get into your petals like that and brush out. And then go on the back and do the same, just go around the back. Just if they see the back of a flower, it looks better if you've dusted it. Then while I've got this green on here, I'm going to go in and get a green brush. And this is Rainforest I'm using, which is the same colour that I've used on the leaves. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to dust the back. Rather than putting a calyx on it, I'm just going to dust the back of the flower like that, with the same colour as the leaves, like that. Right, so we'll just pop that to one side, and then while I've got this out on here, I should have a leaf somewhere that I've left to dust. No, I haven't. I haven't left one to dust, so what I'll do is I'll use one of my ones that are still soft and dust that. You can do that as you go along if you want, if you find it easy to do that. Just give it a waft over the back, and then you can reshape your leaves because they'll still dry like that, and pop that back onto your foam like I've done there. Now these here, I did these while these was quite soft, and as they've dried, they have actually dried a bit darker than the one that I've just done. So that's fine. Then we come to the interesting bit, putting it all together. So I'm just going to see how much tape I've got here. I might have enough there. I'll just try that. Yeah, it's a good long piece there. See how we get on. Get the tape started. In fact, no, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use some full width tape. So I need my roll of tape somewhere. Wherever I've put it. Should have a roll on here somewhere. I have all sorts of things all over the place all of the time. If I can't find it, I'll have to use that half width now. I'll have to use that half width tape. Is that it? No, it's the light tape. Right, so we'll use that one. So I'm just going to get all my bits and pieces over here. Just get that colour out of the way. Get rid of that. Now I haven't varnished the leaves on these, they're not particularly shiny, so what you can do when it's all dried is to steam the leaves, and it'll give you that sort of a semi look. Now then, the leaves don't actually grow like this. Some of them grow in 3s and 5s on the plants, but I'm just going to keep it simple. For now, so we can get it started, because basically what we want is a spray to go on a Christmas cake. You don't want to spend hours and hours on it. So if you start it off there and then bring your tape up, I'm just going to come back up with that tape. So I'm going to put another leaf in opposite that one. Do those as a pair to start off with. Then go down and put another couple of small ones in. and I'm going to go in between these. Sometimes if you have leaves all going down beneath each other, like if you're doing anaglyptus, it can look a bit boring, but that's how anaglyptus grow. A lot of other leaves don't. They're sort of like staggered, is a better way of putting it. So sometimes you just have to manipulate nature a bit to make it look better, because if you don't mess about with things and change them around, they can look quite false. So I'm just going to put some medium leaves in here. I'm going to use the other leaves later on to add into the spray. Anyway, medium. Another medium one there. If you get your tape started and tape down, and then remember to get your wires and pull them in so that the base of your leaf pulls down to the tape, then they stay nice and tight. That stops them from moving around. I know I've mentioned it before to people that watch me regular, but for those that haven't, that's something that you need to do. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a few, some flowers in. Where are my flowers? Here we are. Just get my flowers over. Whoops. That's it. Just going to put that in quite flat as it is for now. Get that started, and then you can just get your flower and lift that up like that. And I'm just going to put a little bunch of flowers in here. Put about 3 in, something like that. I always put odd numbers in, never put even numbers in, because you don't want things to look too uniform. And we'll put another one in at the other side. At the same point there. Tape that on and tape down. I'm going to tape down to make sure that these stay put. Because these are quite small, they don't tend to move around as much, but when you're putting larger flowers into a spray, they can spin around and do all sorts of things that you don't want them to. So there we've got, let's move those leaves around. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to put some larger leaves in behind those. So get my tape started again. Oops, dropped a leaf. And put another leaf in at the other side. And that's a soft one I've just put in there, just realised, but never mind, it's in now. Then come down a little bit, then I'm going to put some small peppers in. Just in case I didn't mention it before, I dusted the calyx on these peppers with the same green that I did the backs of the flowers and the leaves. Just in case you thought I'd missed that. They do grow in groups like this, you get sort of clumps of them together. I'm just going to come down a little bit and then put another smaller one in, like that. tape down with that. The idea of taping down in between like this is to make sure that things don't move around, and if you tape down like that, let's bring that back up here a bit, across there, things will stay put and you won't end up with things swinging around all over the place, which some of my students did have problems with that. But if you get it tight enough and pull your wires in, things should stay where you want them to stay. Right, so I'm going to put some more leaves in here. Put some larger ones in, I think. So what I'll do is I'll finish off at the back with some small leaves to finish off the spray. You can pull your wires in, make sure they're nice and tight in. There we are. And then you can adjust where you want your leaves to go then. Bring those out. Like that. Whoops. Torn that one. But there again, caterpillars have been at that one. And for good measure, I'm going to put another couple of flowers in. I thought I had 3 left there. I was just wondering if I've just happened to have lost one somewhere. Putting the flowers in with the peppers just sort of gives you a little bit of contrast with the colours there. Then I'm going to put the other peppers in now. I did leave one to dust. There it is. Just get a bit of, no, it doesn't matter, nobody's going to notice. Put that in there, like that. The advantage with this paste as well is because these are still quite soft. If you get anything up against anything and squash it a little bit, you can reshape it. I'm going to put a bunch of 5 in here, so I've got a couple of smaller ones to put in the back here. That one's pulling in because it's a bit slack. And another one. Always keep your tape tight with this hand and turn with the other hand. There we are. Let's bring that out. Just adjust those around. You can play around with them once you've got them all in the in your spray. Right, just pop that down, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tape some of these leaves into little sprigs. Make sure you find your sticky side of your tape. Bend it over your wire and nip it in with your nail. Whoops, that stuck to my finger. Your fingers get sticky when you're using this, so sometimes you have to probably stop and go and wash your hands, or use the you can use the glaze cleaner as well, because it's an alcohol it can take the stickiness off. As we're coming up to Christmas now, I hope everybody's going to have got a nice Christmas planned with your loved ones. Put some more small ones in there. Just open those out so I can see where I've got them. Right, those wires need to be pulled down to there. Leave those round there and them out there. Going for some medium ones. Like I keep saying to people, and I'm waiting for you to come up with some ideas. If there's anything you'd like to see me do, please leave it in the comments section below. Don't be shy about it, because I'm looking for new things. I've done that many videos now that I'm running out of ideas. There are some things that I have got in mind, but I do need something else as well to go along with. What I'm doing. I pull those wires in, make sure they're nice and tight. Tape down and put some larger ones in. Let's put a couple of these in. Now you could put more into your spray than I'm putting into this. I'm just doing a sort of a simple basic spray just to give you an idea. There we are. Now you can open out all your leaves. And then start my tape off again on back here. This is where you have to be careful because your sprays start getting a bit heavy at this point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend that spray backwards like that to put it in the back. This is where I could have done with me full width tape for this little bit. Then tape right down to the bottom. And then you can bring, you can bring that bit with your leaves in backwards a little bit that way. So it looks as though you've got another branch coming off of it there. So get these leaves out of the way and pop that on there. So there's my spray of chili peppers. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're not a subscriber yet, it's free to subscribe. And I've just found my micro stamens. Told you they'd be right under my nose when I find them, they usually are. And if you've got any comments about anything, any questions you want to ask, or anything you'd like to see me do, then please do get in touch. I check my comments when I'm at home quite a number of times during the day, so I usually keep on top of it. Unlike a lot of other people, I do reply back to everybody, even if it's only a thumbs up. Be nice to see some pictures from some of you as well. So if you go to my website, you can there's a form on there for ordering things. You can get my email address off of there and send me pictures. It'd be nice to see some of the work that you've done from my videos. So anyway, there we are. Take care, stay safe, have a very Merry Christmas, and see you soon.